Hi everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm an indie author and welcome back to my channel. I write young adult fiction across a variety of genres, and if you think that might interest you, then think about subscribing below. So today we're going to be talking about taking care of your writer self. I recently did a video on hustle culture, which I will link up in the cards, and while it was well received, I did get a few requests from people asking if I'd be happy to talk about how to take care of your writer self. I've been doing this for a long time, so I will add the caveat that just because something doesn't work for you doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It might just be that you need to try something different. So here we go. Number 1, breaks are important. One thing I have advocated for a lot is that breaks are so very, very important for your mental health, to your writing, to you as a person. I know that for some of us, we have that deadline to get us working on something, and while that's a good thing, it's not something we should be doing all the time. If you need a deadline to work towards, there's nothing wrong with that, but make sure that you're putting in some downtime too. All work and no play, the idea that you have to be doing something productive, otherwise you are not valid, has no place here. I make sure that I have at least one day off completely each month, but beyond that I'm not working all day every day bar that one day. To begin with, it's usually a couple of days off, if not more, that I take off, and I vary the days with what I'm doing. Like recording this today will be set aside as a recording and revision day. I won't be writing or drafting at least, and will instead do all the bits and pieces that go into recording, and then spend the second half of the day reading, relaxing and chatting with a friend. And my downtime is spent like that because of my conditions and my disability, which makes it hard for me to work for long blocks of time. But you don't need to be disabled or sick to take a break. Let yourself have time to breathe, to grow, to recharge. You will find that you will thank yourself later. Number 2, rewards work. This is something I didn't do for a long time. Before my planner, I just used sticky notes, and from there the reward was closing the note. Now I do a sticker system, and so long as I've done all the main chunks of work for the day, I get a sticker. Once I get to the end of the month, depending on what I managed, I get to buy myself some books or treat myself, do something I've been wanting for a while. You don't have to do it on the long term like that though, you can do it in small chunks too. Like I said, I do my work for the day and then reward myself with downtime. It doesn't have to be something that costs a lot of money. It can be binging a show or reading a book or playing a game or chatting and catching up with a friend, whatever works for you. Rewarding yourself allows you to chill for a bit and acknowledge that you worked hard today. You did the thing and now you get to do other things that aren't work related. That's the key here. The reward should not be more work. Otherwise you're going to end up burned out and no one wants that. Number 3, be realistic with your goals. As you all know, I set a whole bunch of goals. I do weekly in my planner, monthly on a private blog, bi-monthly and yearly here on Authortube. The one thing I have learned though early on when it came to taking care of myself was to be realistic about what I could manage. I think Caro Brown said it best when she said to plan to be operating at 30% instead of 100%, plan that you're going to be sick the whole time. While I don't think pushing yourself while sick is a great idea, the idea is a good one. Be realistic about what you can manage and don't put a whole bunch of stuff on your plate when you know that some of it is going to overwhelm you and make it even harder for you to get stuff done. Think about it this way, if there's someone you care about trying to juggle all these balls in the air, you'd step in and help if you could. Be that helper for yourself. Make sure you're not aiming for something that even at 100% all of the time you would struggle to manage. This is something that takes a lot of trial and error. It took me a long time to get to the point where I knew what was manageable and what wasn't, and that's okay if it takes you that time too. No one is doing it right from the first time they try, so don't expect perfection from yourself either. Number 4, self-care is important. This is something that gets talked about a lot in passing and doesn't really get discussed outside of that, but here's a little newsflash for you. Self-care really does matter. And the great thing about self-care is that it can be anything that relaxes you. Like for a long time, because I'm mostly housebound and I'm a full-time wheelchair user, I didn't think self-care was something I could do. People would talk about taking walks, about doing this exercise or that one, and none of it applied to me. Thankfully, I realised that self-care is pretty much anything that you enjoy and isn't work. So like for me, I read a whole ton, that's self-care for me. I also play games on my phone, do some chatting with friends, will occasionally binge things on Netflix and the like, and all of that. You are the only one who can find out what self-care means for you. I can give you tips on what I do, but at the end of the day, you're the only one who knows yourself best. If your idea of self-care is to have a bubble bath and a glass of wine, then go for it. If you're looking for permission to take time and do some self-care, then this is it. Whatever that might look like for you. And number 5, don't let it get to burnout. This is the important one. One of the reasons I did the video on hustle culture was because I see how toxic it can be and how rapidly it will lead to burnout. If you're doing the time off and taking a break when you need it, you can avoid getting to that point of burnout. Personally, I learned this lesson the hard way, and I don't want any of you to have to go through it either. Pushing yourself because of things like hustle culture, implying that your productivity is tied to your worth, it's going to lead to a hard crash. I've been there. I know from the comments on that video that a lot of others have too. It's a balancing game. There are some times when you do need to push yourself to reach a deadline, but there are others when it's outside sources that you don't need to be listening to. So make sure that when you're keeping going, you make the time to relax, to refresh yourself, to take time off, and don't keep pushing yourself until you cannot go any further because your body has said enough. Take care of you. You matter, you are worthy of kindness, and you deserve to be treated well, especially by yourself. So there we go. Those are my 5 tips when it comes to taking care of your writer self. Those are my 5 tips of how you can take care of yourself as a writer, as a person, as a human being, and I hope that they help you. Do you have any self-care tips? Let me know in the comments down below. So that's all I've got time for today. If you want to support my channel, you can comment, like, or subscribe. I post new videos on Thursdays. You can find me all over social media, and my books are available everywhere. And don't forget to pick up Lights Off, which is the 3rd in a young adult dystopian trilogy. And also, don't forget to grab a ticket for Author City in Birmingham in July 2022, where I'll be signing books. All the links to which are listed below. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep writing. Bye.